Hi there, this is Josh. I was tagged by Shannon from Shannon Rose Reads to do the challenge that she herself created, the Minimalist book tag, which I really like the idea. I'm so happy that I got tagged. Her and Catherine are great people. They did On the Read together. Shannon now has her own channel. But the Minimalist book tag, the object is to come up with a collection of books as they would look if you downsized your book collection only to a select few. And I don't see that happening with me anytime soon, but this is just a scenario and it's supposed to be fun. Let's get started. The first question, or the first book, would be your all-time favorite book. And for me, even though that question is one of the most difficult questions to ask a book lover, my choice is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. It's just, the tone of the story is just so serious and so heart-wrenching that, but at the same time it really delivers that really key important message about the way that society was back then, and Keyes does a brilliant job portraying the honesty of an individual like Charlie Gordon. The next one is a modern classic, and for that I chose Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451. It was released in 1953. And is the story of Guy Montag living in a dystopian world where firemen don't put out fires, but instead they start them in order to burn books. And 451 is the temperature at which they do burn. And this rings incredibly true, and in a way we're seeing so many possibilities that things like this can truly happen. And it really creates that train of thought. Next one is a nonfiction book. For me, being a U.S. president buff, though I've read so many nonfiction books that I really enjoyed, it would have to be something that had to do with the presidents. And my favorite one is the complete book of U.S. presidents. The original versions were written by William D. Gregorio, but he has since passed away, and the updates are, this one specifically is updated by Sandra Lee Stewart. This has anything and everything that has to do with the lives of the U.S. presidents. It talks about their physical description, when, where, and the conditions with which they were born, everybody in their cabinet, everything important that happened during their term, their hobbies, their retirement, their death, etc. It's just anything that you would want to know, and it's just, this is the ultimate collection for the U.S. president like myself. Next one is just a classic, which I find the term classic to be very complicated, because I don't know if you're really looking for specific dates, but I chose Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. And I think that both are equally important because they both offer something really special. And the characters just really help drive the message home. Next one is a graphic novel, and please forgive me, Shannon, I am going to duplicate your answer. The Complete Moss by Art Spiegelman. I've started reading Watchmen as well, but I read through both stories within 2 to 3 days, and this is just remarkable. It really tells a crucial story and uses humor and the steps of Spiegelman approaching his dad and asking about his family history, and it really is a delight. I really enjoyed this, and I really think that this is a graphic novel that everyone should check out. Next one is a book from an author you couldn't live without, and for me it would be Stephen King, and the book is The Green Mile. I read this during my sophomore year of high school, and I started reading Stephen King in middle school, and I didn't like reading his works as much, but once I read The Green Mile, not only was I beginning to read and enjoy Stephen King's works much more, but I also began to read and enjoy many more novels. So, we just released the works that inspired us to become literary enthusiasts. If we were talking about novels that inspired us to become enthusiasts for reading novels, this would be it. This is where it all began. And the story is just so strong. The character development is spectacular. And John Coffey is just a remarkable. He was accused of murder, but his powers and the impact that he had on people was just so mesmerizing. Yeah. Next one is a series. This is something that I have had for years, and I read part of it, and hope to read more of it in the near future. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I have it in the original case. I've read The Magician's Nephew, I've read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe twice, and I read The Horse and His Boy 1.5 times, because I read it part of the way when I was younger, and then in middle school I read it throughout. And I started reading Prince Caspian. I need to get back to that. I'm probably going to just read it over, and then the rest of the series. Next one is a book that you feel no house is complete without. For me, I chose The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. I feel that this is really remarkable to provide the readers with an idea of an area that we're really not familiar with, only in the news and in a negative light, but we follow somebody who living a regular life until events start to happen and he and his father have to move to America, but it's also about how he redeems himself from childhood. The next one, a book with a pretty cover you couldn't live without. I'm one that really doesn't judge books by their cover, but to make it interesting, I did make a choice, and I chose The Stranger by Albert Camus. This is just very Twilight Zone-esque, the way that he has his covers. I think that the vintage versions of Camus' works, they come up with very interesting covers, and this is quite a nice one. And I thought that The Stranger was the go-to existential novel, and people that have not read this should definitely give it a try. Next question. A book on your TBR or wish list you have yet to read. And I wanted to include a bit more horror fiction in the equation, and because I really want to read some more of his works, I chose Suffer the Children by John Saul. I read When the Wind Blows, and it really made an impact. It kept me up because I was turning the pages, I was really wondering what was going to happen, and this one also has to do with the horrific events that occur. Children screaming and being killed, and then the how it becomes a pattern, the disappearance of children, which it's a tragic event, but it's also it's common in horror fiction because the intent is to create that that moment of intensity, and something so sensitive as disappearance of children is something that makes people unsettling, and writers like John Saul have really touched up on that. And the last one is a bonus. It's a YA book, and for me, I chose The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I read this in my freshman year of high school, not specifically this copy. This is the one that I got for young adult literature in college, but it's quite something. This was written by S.E. Hinton. She was a teenager at the time, and she really hit home in describing the environment and the connections between the two mobs, the greasers and the socias, with one another, and also the emotional bonds between Ponyboy and his brother, Soda Pop, but especially toward fellow greaser Johnny Cade. And then the passion of Dallas Winston, and the how Derry he started out so he did not understand the situation, but then really came to terms with things. So, alrighty. This is what we got for a minimalist book collection. This is quite something. I don't think I'll ever have a collection this small, unless for some reason something drastic happens, but this is only this is the smallest you'll see. Alrighty. Now it's time for me to tag 5 people. I tag Alice from the Return Box Books, Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, Amanda from Amanda in PA, Becca from Becca Books, and Literary Gladiator's very own Kelsey Rowan. And Kelsey's going to be on the next episode of Literary Gladiators, and she's taken the position as assistant producer starting in season 4 as well. So look forward to seeing what you guys come up with, and I also want to thank Shannon once again for tagging me. Really means a lot, and definitely check out Shannon's channel. I'll leave it below. If you're interested in checking out these kind of videos and our regular episodes, please subscribe to our channel, check them out, like and comment, and as I always say at the end of each episode, keep reading.